A burst pipe, a flooded basement, that dreaded leak from the roof. Water damage is one of those nightmares that can hit any homeowner, and it always seems to happen without warning. It's sudden, it's super stressful, and honestly, it can feel completely overwhelming. But if you understand what happens next, well, that's the first step to taking back control. So just picture this for a second. You walk down to your basement and splash! You're standing in an inch of water. Right away, a clock starts ticking. You've got this critical 48-hour window before a simple water problem spirals into a serious, nasty mold problem. So what on earth do you do? What happens now? That's exactly what we're going to break down. Okay, first things first, we've got to understand the enemy here. You see, water intrusion isn't just one thing. It can come from a ton of different places, and every single one presents an immediate and escalating risk to your home. And what's kind of wild when you look at this list is just how many ways water can get in. I mean, it's not just about big storms and floods from the outside. The threat can literally come from inside your walls, like an old pipe that finally bursts. Or it could be an appliance you use every single day, like the hose on your washing machine that just gives up. It could even be a slow, quiet leak from your AC that you don't even notice until it's way too late. And this right here shows you exactly why speed is everything. In the very first hour, just 60 minutes, that water's already creeping into your drywall, your insulation, your subfloors. Fast forward 24 hours, and all those materials are totally saturated. They're starting to swell, buckle, and warp. But that 48-hour mark, that's the real tipping point. That is when mold can start to grow and colonize, turning a water cleanup into a much more complicated, hazardous, and expensive problem. So how do you fight back? Well, when you make that emergency call, everything that happens in this first hour is designed to stop that 48-hour clock dead in its tracks. 60 minutes. That's the magic number. It's the industry standard that any good restoration company is going to shoot for. And why? Because getting there in under an hour to start pulling water out can be the difference between, say, saving your hardwood floors versus having to tear them all out. It makes a huge difference in the final cost and stops that secondary damage we were just talking about. So when you call, you're not just getting put in a line. A trained dispatcher is immediately trying to figure out what's going on so they can send the right crew with the right gear. Once they're there, the technicians don't just start ripping things apart. They use tools like moisture meters to see the full picture, even the water that's hiding behind your walls. They'll explain the game plan to you, and then the extraction begins. Not with a little shot back, but with powerful truck-mounted machines. Okay, let's hit pause for a second. To really get what's happening, you kind of need to know the lingo. We're going to cover a few key ideas that'll help you understand exactly what the pros are doing in your home and, more importantly, why they're doing it. This is so important. See, not all water is created equal. Category 1 is clean water. Think of a broken water supply line. It's not great, but it's not an immediate health risk. Category 2 is gray water, which is a bit murky. It's got contaminants from things like your dishwasher, but Category 3 black water, that's the really bad stuff. We're talking sewage, floodwater. It's seriously unsanitary and requires a completely different, much more intense cleanup to make sure the area is safe again. People use these two words, mitigation and restoration, all the time, like they're the same thing. They are not. Think of mitigation as the emergency response. It's like stopping the bleeding. It's all about extracting water, drying everything out, and tearing out anything that's ruined. Restoration is what happens after all that. That's the rebuilding phase. Hanging new drywall, putting in new floors, painting, making your house look like it did before the disaster. So how do you know the company you hired is doing the job right? Well, there's this thing called the IICRC S500 standard. It's basically the official rulebook for the entire industry. It lays out the proper procedures for everything. And following this standard isn't just a good idea, it's what your insurance company expects. It's the gold standard. All right, now that we've got the lingo down, let's jump back into the action. Let's walk through the entire journey, from that first moment of crisis all the way to a full recovery. The whole shebang can really be broken down into these three main phases. Phase 1, that emergency extraction to get all the standing water out. Phase 2, the science part, drying the structure and getting rid of anything that's too far gone. And finally, Phase 3, the complete restoration, where the craftspeople come in to rebuild, repair, and put it all back together. Now, here's something you really need to know. Drying out your house is not an overnight thing. After they get the water out on day 1, it typically takes anywhere from 3 to 5 days, sometimes even longer. Technicians will literally come back every single day to take readings and reposition equipment to make sure every single part of the structure, not just the surface, is brought back to a safe, dry level. And they find all that hidden moisture using some seriously cool technology. We're talking thermal imaging cameras that can actually see temperature differences behind your walls, which shows them where the water is. It's not a guessing game. It is a science, and it's the only way to guarantee that when they say the job is done, it is truly done.
All right, let's get to the part everyone really worries about, the money. The cost, the insurance paperwork. Let's tackle the questions that every single homeowner has when they're staring down a water damage bill.
So, what's this going to cost me? It's the first question on everyone's mind, right? And the honest answer is, well, it depends. There's no flat rate because every single situation is totally unique. But the final cost really comes down to a few key things. Remember those water categories we talked about? A Category 3 black water job is way more expensive than a Category 1 job. Then you've got the size of the area, how much stuff got soaked, and what that stuff is made of. Obviously, saving or replacing hardwood floors is going to cost a lot more than dealing with some basic carpet. And here we go. The million-dollar question. After all this chaos and stress, is my insurance policy actually going to pay for it? Generally speaking, the answer is yes, if the damage was sudden and accidental. Think burst pipe, washing machine overflow. What most standard policies do not cover is damage from slow, gradual leaks that you should have fixed or damage from overland flooding. For that, you need a separate flood insurance policy. The absolute most important thing you can do is pull out your policy now and read it so you know exactly what you're covered for. Of course, the best way to deal with water damage is to just prevent it from ever happening. And you can. Simple things like checking the hoses on your washing machine once in a while, knowing exactly where your main water shutoff valve is, making sure your gutters are clean. These little things can save you a world of heart. And that kind of leaves us with one last thought. After everything we've talked about, from the silent leaks to the sudden pipe bursts, it's worth asking yourself, could there be a hidden water issue waiting in your home right now? Being proactive, well, that's your absolute best defense.